80 of VVV Gaming's Losers Bracket podcast, and MLG Raleigh is right around the corner. We are previewing this weekend's festivities for everybody this week, and we have some awesome guests doing it with us. Of course, we are joined by our co-hosts John Phoenix, as well as Jerry Lord Jareth. We will have Mazsik from VVV Believe the Hype, coach of this awesome team, as well as Nynjatic and Titan, all competitors of this weekend. It's a pretty good weekend to be a competitive gamer. Things are pretty damn exciting, to say the least. Although there is some looming trouble on the horizon as well, with Hurricane Irene on path for potentially North Carolina. John, you are going to be watching the festivities from home this weekend. What are your thoughts going into MLG Raleigh, sir?
Well, I have to say, after IEM this past weekend, I'm definitely looking forward to League of Legends. I think I talked with a bunch of people, and we definitely think CLG is probably the best team in the world right now, and I'm really looking forward to see how they perform at MLG as well as just how things go at MLG, whether it picks up and gets as popular as StarCraft did, as far as people watching it and all. And then, of course, StarCraft is obviously a big pull. I'm really interested to see how Huck, now that he is a member of EG, will compete. He has a pretty hard group again. See if he'll make it out. And, things are just, looking really good on the PC side of things. But then, of course, you can't forget about the Gears of War exhibition match, which I'm really stoked about.
Yeah, this is really a great opportunity to see the Epic development team come out. And I think Major League Gaming rightfully invited the Insanes, who were the last MLG champions for Gears of War. So I think it's going to be good. They've got Arctic obviously doing some of the color commentary for the event. So that should be really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be huge. I mean, it's a big event. And I think, Jason, you rightfully mentioned Hurricane Irene. But, I think the forecast right now has it hitting as a storm Raleigh between 2 and 4 a.m. Saturday night. So probably get a lot of rain and a lot of wind, thunder, that kind of thing. I did get a chance to talk to Sundance today and get his, input, contingency plans. And he suggested that you should leave yourself extra time and be sure to wear clean underwear. And I think that's really important. Those clean underwear are critical when you're going to be out in the world and doing your travels. So to represent all gamers, I just want to throw a very important shout out there. Please wear clean underwear.
Definitely want to have some brand new underwear with you, but additionally, you might want to check out the brand new MLG controller as well. That is going to be seen for the first time at MLG Raleigh, and I have to admit, I'm pretty stoked about this. Mad Catz looks like they did a pretty good job with this controller. While it does look like it's maybe possibly a little bit plasticky, which the Mad Catz controllers have been known for in the past, some really neat features to this. Completely customizable tension. You can actually put the joystick in the directional pad wherever you would like, if you have a preference to one place or the other. So neat customization features. You'll be able to put your clan tags or any sort of emblem or logo directly onto the controller. There's pictures that are actually on the internet right now. They will be seen, felt, played with for the first time at Raleigh. Retail price looks to be going right around $70 or $80. Pretty excited to see this weekend. Guys, what are your thoughts? John?
Yeah, a lot of people, really hate on Mad Catz after some of the products they've done in the past. And the only thing people really seem to like are their fight sticks. And obviously MLG released a fight stick as well. Looks very similar to the tournament edition they had before. But as far as the controllers, the one thing I'm really looking forward to is the fact that you can change the joysticks and the D-pad around, because, obviously a big complaint between PS3 and Xbox, especially when it comes to Call of Duty, is how the thumbsticks are laid out and everything. And looking at the pictures, they look almost identical as far as how the controller is built. Just change the, ABXY with the, X circle square triangle instead. And then, you can change thumbsticks out, so you can use the indented thumbsticks instead of the PS3 ones. And so, I think they're really going for kind of a unified controller that, regardless of which, platform you're playing on, you can use both. And so I think that's going to go a long way in, not having such a separation between PS3 and Xbox.
Yeah, John, I think you hit it right on the head there. They definitely needed a controller with that kind of flexibility. And, Mad Catz answered the call. I think everybody's familiar because we've talked about it on the show before about the sort of falling out, we'll say, that Razer and Major League Gaming had, which, speaking of Razer, and not to segue, but I must, did anybody here catch the PC gaming is not dead mystery sort of campaign that Razer has going on? John, did you get a chance to see that?
I did see it. It's been all over the place, and I'm pretty sure they took a full page out in the Wall Street Journal, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Jason, have you seen that yet?
Yeah, what's going on with that? Do you have any details on that? Because that left me scratching my head.
I don't know. I felt they were trying too hard. For those of you that are wondering, and I guess, I don't even know why we mention it, but since it's been out there on the Twitter feed and people have talked about it, it's PC gaming is not dead. And what it really is about is that I guess they're going to launch some product April 26th or something. So we'll see how that turns out. But coming back to Major League Gaming news, and since you mentioned the Wall Street Journal, I don't know if it's me, but have you guys noticed, everywhere I go, I'm starting to read about gaming news. There's the article about Barcraft in the Wall Street Journal, and then there's the article about adding more titles to the pro circuit in Forbes. Did you catch either of those, John?
I did. I caught both of those, and I think a big reason is, I think StarCraft is to thank for a lot of that. Because of how big it's gotten, and through all the social media ways to put news out there, and sites like Reddit, just constantly pumping news into something that's not just based on gaming. A lot of the past news seemed to go just places that were for gaming, whereas now you're seeing gaming news pop up places that you might not see it normally. And I think Sundance is somebody who also has helped that a lot since he's taken over. Really finding where gaming news needs to be for people to learn about it, and he's done a good job of putting it out there. Places like Forbes and Wall Street Journal, which are very, highly thought of publications.
Definitely have to agree with this. And, you mentioned something about more news, things like that. From the article in Forbes that was actually done, the interview with Sundance, it said there was going to be more games that were going to be added to the MLG circuit. And it seems like they're almost trying a different format with the season next year, which if they do go through with this, then, it's going to add a lot more news to the entire competitive gaming landscape as well. I think that that's pretty exciting. That's going to give us more to cover weekly, and I think that's going to help the entire competitive gaming scene grow. Great news.
Yeah, I got the sense from what he said or the way Forbes positioned it, and I thought the language was really good in that article. It sort of implies fail and fail quick, because Sundance highlighted the flexibility in the game choice, and I think, and I think this is true for the nature of the beast. Whether we like it or not, the game development industry is really centered on the blockbuster title. It's about what you do out of the gate, right? It's the highest selling game of all time. There are many great titles that just didn't get the numbers. And in this industry, they're really looking for the big hits. And once they find that big hit, look at Modern Warfare. They're going to drain that as long as they can. So everyone's searching for that next big IP, the next big intellectual property that they can carve up and use. So it sounds to me like Major League Gaming is in a way going to provide a platform for these games to come in, either hit quick or sort of die, and be able to change that without us sort of having to wait this long entire season. Like a painful season where there aren't a lot of people watching Rainbow Six Vegas 2 as an example. So I think that's what I at least got out of that article. Now, knowing that, right, let's talk about some of these new games. And I know we mentioned Barcraft. Maybe we'll save that for a little bit later. Let's talk about probably the big, for sure, thing that I think a lot of people are going to expect to see good things come out of, and that's League of Legends. And let's face facts, the whole MOBA genre seems to have exploded with money being spent everywhere. John, you're a little bit of a League of Legends fan, aren't you?
I am.
So what do you think? Excited? Happy? What do you think?
Definitely excited. You know, it seemed to me last year once League of Legends and kind of launched and Heroes of New Earth, has been around for probably a couple years since the beta came out. And, it was something that I knew what Dota was and I knew what Heroes of New Earth kind of was. And League of Legends, I'd heard about it. And, I was friends with Matt Marcoux, so I'd heard a little bit of it through that. But it was kind of new to me. It's not something you usually see. It's not a shooter. It's not just a plain strategy game, but it's something a little fresher to a lot of people. And I know, like, when they announced the international tournament for Dota 2 that just finished this past weekend, DJ Wheat went on and he was like, can anybody tell me, what the hell Dota is? And can anybody kind of explain this? Because that's just not his kind of game. And so I think it's kind of grown because companies like Riot have been able to push it out there and say, look, this is a cool new game. This is something we think you'll enjoy. And, I've picked up on it and I've enjoyed it. It's good to have some kind of, I look at it kind of like World of Warcraft. It's a good game to go play, just goofing off and stuff, but competitively it kind of fell on its face, especially lately. So I think League of Legends is a good game to kind of be a mix of strategy and MMO arena and stuff like that. And it's something that's just fresh and it's out there. And you're seeing a ton of different versions of Dota out there. A bunch of people have linked me. It's like, hey, what's this? Is this like a Dota clone? And, the Dota clone, that kind of name is something that's popping up all over the place. And everybody's like, well, when Dota 2 comes out, they're all going to die. And I don't think that's the case for League of Legends because it's a simpler game and it's easier to understand and enjoy. But, that genre has just kind of exploded. And so I'm really excited to see next year how it can work into MLG's new system. And then just kind of in the general landscape of esports, how it will work in, kind of become one of the, main big titles like a Counter-Strike was in years past.
To be totally honest, I don't even think we're going to need to wait until next year because with League of Legends being at MLG Raleigh now, $20,000 prize pool for a 4-team invite event, I think this is going to be huge, gentlemen. I really do. We've got so many people watching these streams. The multiplayer online battle arena games are just taking over right now. If somebody has not watched one of these games, a League of Legends, a Dota, the best way that I can describe this is a cross between an RTS like StarCraft and then the PvP element of an MMORPG. It's basically take those two things, bam, sandwich them together, and you've got this incredible spectator capability and also a game where you have to have strategy, make the right choices. And that leads to this just really exciting atmosphere because if you make a wrong choice, you're going to be punished for it. And in a capacity like what MLG is going to be doing, I think this is going to be a huge success, like we did back on the Roundtable Extra when we talked about what games we thought were going to be big in the coming years. I have to say it again. I really feel like this is going to be one of those key titles that MLG is going to capitalize on and really take to the next level. And one other thing about this, there's so much money being put into it. It's got to be good for competitive gaming. League of Legends is putting, a $5 million prize pool for their second season that's coming up? This is huge, gentlemen.
Well, I mean, I probably, there's a purist in me that really does like Dota over everything else. But World of Warcraft was a lesson I will not soon forget. World of Warcraft took some of the challenging things that MMOs were sort of famous for and really, really simplified it in many ways. I thought in some ways dumbed it down a bit. However, regardless of that, it's a wildly successful game. So when somebody compares League of Legends to Dota, to me, the lesson is let's not, to those of you out there who are like me, a sort of fan of Dota, and for those of you who don't know a lot of the difference between Dota and League of Legends, I would say one big difference that you really want to be conscious of is that in Dota, for those of you that are somewhat familiar, there are waves of mobs that come down lanes, and those are called creeps. And what you have in these games is the ability to kill the enemy's creeps, and that way you level up your character. You gain levels, you gain sort of stuff to buy items, to make this real short. The one big difference is that in Dota, you can kill your own creeps and deny the other person, the other player, a kill, and therefore denying them the ability to level up, gain the resources they need for gear. That extra step, that extra skill required to deny properly is the difference. So which game takes more skill? I believe it's Dota. Which game is going to be more popular? Time will tell. Both are going to have strong stream numbers. I mean, let's face it. I think Dota is going to have a much more international following. Where does that leave League of Legends? What happens when Dota does finally release? We'll see. I do agree with something you said, Jason, though. If you're a MOBA fan, it's got to be a good time for you.
Additionally, one thing about the denying, and one of the things that I think is really going to carry League of Legends over the top, is that I feel like denying, while it does take skill, and that's a good thing, the higher the skill cap is, the better. The problem is that I feel like it slows down the game because it artificially drags it out. Since you're denying experience to the other team and denying gold, if both teams are good at doing this, then it takes longer and longer for the game to progress to a mid and late game. I really feel like that's one area where League of Legends, since it doesn't have that denying feature, actually has an advantage. So we'll see. I mean, the telling tale is going to be what the stream numbers are like, how many spectators we see at Raleigh. After that, we can really make a guess as where this is going to go on the circuit and the future of where this will be in the coming years.
Yeah, the denying thing is kind of a big debate on whether people like it or dislike it. Obviously, and I agree. I'm much more of a League of Legends fan. I played Heroes of Newerth and, didn't really enjoy it as much. But the people I play with are, Gears of War players that don't know, their left from their right. And they get on League of Legends and it's a simpler game to play, but it also kind of transitions them into that genre. And so, if you go into a game and have to deny stuff too, well, that's more you got to think about. Well, you get frustrated, and good players are, going to be able to do that. But players like us that, like I use StarCraft for an example. I went to 2 WCG Grand Finals, and StarCraft and Warcraft are by far and away the 2 biggest games there. However, it comes up, and I sit there and stare at the screen like, I'm reading Korean, like a Korean transcript or something. I mean, I have no idea what's going on. However, by watching people like Day9, by carefully watching MLG events, I've been able to slowly learn to where now I understand every single thing that's going on in the game. Doesn't mean I can play it well, but I understand when I watch it. A lot of people are kind of that way, I think, with Dota and with Heroes of Newerth. There's more to it, and denying is probably the biggest thing about that than there is to League of Legends. However, they're going to jump on League of Legends, and that's why it's more successful, I think, to the greater, general public that than Heroes of Newerth is. And so I think it's something that separates more skill from less skill, but it also, League of Legends is there for people to kind of get into it. And so it'll help them appreciate it more once Dota or Heroes of Newerth pops up on the stream. They'll be able to watch it and kind of know it because they started with League of Legends.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if there is a way to, because something you said I think should not be glossed over. League of Legends does have less of a barrier to entry, and you have to be able to play games to, I think, enjoy them more. Some people may disagree with me, but I know that by playing StarCraft, I appreciate the game more. By having played Heroes of Newerth or Dota, I appreciate it more. And I think you're right that, although something you said, John, now, being live and not edited, some Gears of War player somewhere is going to say, wow, you really sold us out, John. Where's the love? Because you made us sound so dumb. You didn't mean that, John, did you?
I absolutely meant that.
Good. I just wanted to make sure. So, well, listen, enough about us and League of Legends. I'm sure we're all going to be watching it. We've got 4 great teams coming to Raleigh. I cannot wait to see those teams in action. I'm so looking forward to this. It's like a cornucopia, and I mean that, of fantastic titles. Mortal Kombat 9 is going to have an event. We're going to see League of Legends, and obviously the big 3, StarCraft, Halo, and Call of Duty. Why don't we start by talking, well, since I last mentioned Call of Duty, and I know tonight we're joined by George, also known to all of you as VV Nynjatic. So, George, welcome to the second live Losers Bracket. How are you, George?
I'm doing good. It's nice to be here.
It is good to have you. So this is going to be an event different for VV Gaming. We are not sponsoring a top team, which means you're not coaching, you're managing. Tell us and tell everyone listening, what changes happened in the Call of Duty division? Because I think there's an interesting story here. What happened after sort of Anaheim and where we are now coming into Raleigh and where we are and who's going to be representing VV Gaming, and then we'll talk about what our expectations are for the top Call of Duty team. So George, down and dirty after Raleigh, what happened to VV's Call of Duty division?
Well, after placing 14th, we were going to make some team changes, obviously, but one of our teammates decided to stay in California for a little bit longer because his family from where he lives was going to come down, and they were going to meet with his family that lives over in California. So he decided to stay there for a little bit, which was fine. We didn't have a problem with that. We wanted to take a little bit of a break, so we can get back home and kind of relax. But what ended up happening was we didn't find out that he decided to stay and live there until about 16 to 24 hours before roster lock. So there was very little time. There wasn't that much communication between the team and him. So things just kind of fell through, and the team went off, and the players went and did their own thing. So Terrace went to a new team, and we were going to pick up Whaaaaa and Fusion, but they stuck together and went to their own team. And me, as of right now, I'm pretty much just spectating this event. I'm not coaching a team. I'm not sure what's happening with Medusa's team. I'm supposed to be coaching that, but I don't know what ended up happening with that.
So you are kind of on the staff side of things this time.
Yes.
Tell us about the community team that we do have representing VV Gaming. Who's on the team? And they're going to be an amateur, an open team. So tell us a little bit about who's on the team and, what you think how they're going to do.
Well, the team consists of Spectra, emanate, Clayster, and True Junkie. That is a team, and they are coached by Sunrise. They look like a solid team. Clayster actually teamed with the original Fly Society back in Dallas, so I've seen the potential he has. He has a lot of potential. He's a very good player. So it's really nice to finally see him back at event. I think this is his first event back since Dallas. So it'll be really good to see how him and this team meshes together. I've seen some of their gameplay. They're really strong. I think they'll definitely break into, obviously, the top 32, which any team can really do it at this point. But I feel that they can get at least top 16. I really think that they will be a threat to a lot of these teams, and they'll kind of carry that under the radar VVV momentum, which is what we had going into Columbus. We were an AM team. We came through and we took 9th. I think that's something that will happen with them. I think they can go through, place top 16, and surprise a lot of these teams.
Well, you seem fairly confident in meeting with the team. We thought we would give them a chance because, to be honest, I don't think for the rest of the Major League Gaming season, Call of Duty is a title that we probably will support. This is nothing against Call of Duty, just a lot of the top teams have sponsors. And beyond that, I don't think it would necessarily be fair to pick up a top 8 team and not offer them anything. So we're going to do a wait and see. A lot of what we're going to do is a wait and see coming up for the next season. All right. With that being said, let's talk about the pool, the various pools for Call of Duty, where we're at, who we think is going to look good. Is it going to be another event for Leverage? How is Fear doing? Where's Envious and all this? George, I want your predictions. I want to know what you think.
Well, Pool A consists of Leverage, Collapse, Twisted Method, and Obey Pro. I feel that this is a really easy pool for Leverage. I see them taking this no problem, taking their pool, getting into winner semi. Pool B is Optic Gaming, Influence, Icons, Blue, and Last Minute. Again, Optic Gaming, I think they'll take this one. I think Influence will give them some trouble, but I don't see Optic Gaming falling to Influence. I see them beating them 3-1, 3-2 at best for Influence, but Influence will definitely take second in their pool, Optic taking first. Pool C is the pool that interests me the most. It's Fear, Victory Without Sacrifice, Young Guns, and Icons Black. It's a really, really interesting pool because Young Guns placed top 6 at Anaheim. They surprised a lot of teams. I really like this roster. They've stuck together. They work really well. Their communication is I can't compare it to any other team because I haven't heard communication that good in a long time. So I think with Fear, they picked up Twiz, they picked up Fizzerp. I believe for Anaheim, it was a last minute thing. I don't know if it was a fluke or not. They seemed to play really well. They played against Optic Gaming. They beat them. They played against Leveraged, and they held really well against Leverage. But they were up 4-0 in the series in the finals, and Leverage still comes back and takes it. It'll be really interesting to see what happens. See how much practice Fear is put in. I see either Fear or Young Guns taking this pool, and then Envy, Next Threat, Juked, and Force are in Pool D. The Force roster has changed dramatically since Anaheim. But Envy, I see Envy and Next Threat being the top two teams in this pool. I see actually Next Threat taking Pool D, taking first, Envy taking second, and then Juke, then Force. So there's the pool play. The way the seeds are really good for the majority of the pools, except Pool C. Pool C is going to be the sleeper pool, the pool that everyone's going to be keeping an eye on because there's so many top potential teams in there.
Let's talk about a couple teams that may not have have not gotten a lot of attention. I think one team I remember us talking about, George, that you seem to I think, want everyone to pay attention to, you think might be a good team, and that is Young Guns, correct?
Yes.
Tell everyone, what do you like so much about Young Guns?
I mean, just the fact that their communication is just so good. They're like, they communicate in a way that no other team does. A lot of teams, they make a call out. Okay, but they'll make a call out either right at the end of a gunfight or when they're dead. When they make a call out, they'll make the call out before they even get into the fight, and a teammate comes, helps, and they're able to take down people in a 2v1, or it'll be an even trade, 1-to-1 in kills. So they have superior teamwork than a lot of these teams. If they kept their practice up from Anaheim to this event, I see them taking a top three, even possibly taking first, and taking that away from Leverage and not letting Leverage take their third title for Call of Duty. I really, really like this team. They don't fight. Like if someone makes a bad move, they don't call them out on it. They're like, hey, why the hell did you do that? They don't do that. They give them confidence. They boost them up. It's like, hey, don't worry about it, man. Just keep your head up. Let's get back in this. They work so well together, and I'm so happy to see this roster stick together from Anaheim going into Raleigh.
So George, I'm guessing you like Young Guns.
Yes, I love Young Guns.
Well, I know you mentioned it as something that team that VV Gaming should look at, and it's something that I may get a chance to peruse the Call of Duty talent, and Young Guns is definitely a team we'll keep our eyes on. Any other teams that you think may need a second look that might not be getting the attention that they should?
To me, there's not that many teams. So
all those players out there are going to be like, George, what about me?
Hey,
you're calling it the way you see it, huh?
Exactly. A lot of these rosters, they changed. There was very little time in between Anaheim and Raleigh, and I think a lot of these teams made changes prematurely, and they stuck with it. And I think a lot of them are regretting that, But a few teams that may surprise a lot of people, Icons Black, which is Ego, RJ34, Terrorist, and Killa. RJ34 is a great player. And so is Terrorist. I love Terrorist and RJ. I think that combo is going to do a lot of work. Ego's a strong player, and Killa's strong as well. But I think Ego and Killa are going to need to play very strong support roles. RJ is going to need to be a strong Slayer and play a little bit of objective. But Terrorist to me is one of the best all-around players. He's got a really good objective. He can compete with top objective players. He can compete with top Slayers and compete with top support players. He is such a strong all-around player, and I'm really waiting for him to have an event that he just goes off and his team plays.
Hopefully he'll hear this and he'll know about these kind words, and then you can get his autograph at MLG Raleigh.
Definitely.
And say I said good things about you. All right. Well, George, thank you for that quick overview of Call of Duty. We will see if Leverage once again takes another first, or if they get dethroned either by their rivals like Fear, or if an Optic Gaming or even someone that may not be on the radar screen like Young Guns comes up and demonstrates that don't write us off. We have a lot yet to do. All right. So, Jason, what does this bring us to next? Do you want to talk about Halo next?
Let's do some Halo. And speaking of Jasons, we also have another Jason with us here on the show this week. We've got Jason, the coach of VVV Believe the Hype, also known as VVV Mazsik in the world of competitive Halo. Additionally, we also have Nick John, who's VVV MaNiiaC, one of the players from Believe the Hype, joining us. Jason, thank you for joining us. I believe this is now your second time on the Losers Bracket. How are things going? And please, for those who don't know you, who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for having me back again. Like everybody said, I'm Mazsik, coach of the Believe the Hype team. BVV Believe the Hype actually now. I've been coaching for about 4 years now. I've been on several different teams. Triggers down for 5 events. Went on to Final Boss and Believe the Hype with 2 back-to-back national championships with Believe the Hype and Final Boss.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us this week. And Nick, VV MaNiiaC, this is actually not going to be your first time on the show. So everyone's hearing you for the very first time. Please tell us who is VV MaNiiaC and give us a little bit of your competitive gaming background.
Sounds like his mic might be a little soft there. We'll have to put him back in the green room and have him start over again.
I know, right?
All right. Well, while Nick works on his microphone there, Coach Mazsik, let's talk a little bit of Halo. Let's talk a little bit about. There's Nick. Nick, how are you?
Hey, what's up? I'm good.
You sound a lot better now.
Besides the earthquake that hit me.
But now you're better. So So as Jason said earlier, as Paradise mentioned, tell us a little bit about you and your competitive gaming history.
All right. My name's Nick Kirshner. It's not Nick John. I just randomly made this Skype and just made up some last name. But my name's Nick Kirshner. Gamer tag's MaNiiaC. And I've been a pro Halo player since 2008. That's when it first started. I've been playing competitively through MLG, though, since, well, my first event was in 2007. But I've been playing competitive Halo since probably 2004, 2005.
Very nice. And that now brings you to where we are currently at MLG Raleigh. VV Believe the Hype going into this event. Tell us a little bit about your preparation for this tournament and how do you feel going into this event?
Well, we made a team change from last event that I'm feeling really good about. Me and Formal left Ryan Noob and Blaze, and we picked up Reliable and Destin, 2 really, really underrated and solid players that just have tons of potential. So going into this event, I'm feeling really good. And as far as practice, we've been online we've been online probably about 4 or 5 times a week. Some weeks, maybe every day, we'll practice. And we usually try to get in like 3 to 4 hours a night. So this event's looking good.
That's awesome to hear. All right, let's talk a little bit about, and I'm going to ask each of you this, and let's take your bias aside because I'm quite sure you're both confident about how you're going to perform. Tell me how the event lines up. How do you guys see the top teams doing? Give us some of your predictions. Nick, let's start with you.
All right. I think if anyone that follows Halo knows of Instinct and how good they are. So if anything, I can see Instinct winning again. If a team like mine or maybe a Dynasty could take them down, or depending on status quo, how they're playing, they could take them down. But other than Instinct, I see Dynasty doing pretty good, probably a top 3. They just picked up Cloud, and he's a really, really good player. So I can see them placing top 3. And another sleeper team is, I'm not sure of their team name. I think it's Infamous, but it has APG, Lethal. Who else is on that team? APG, Lethal, Mazsik. Who else is on that team?
Ryan Noob, Blaze.
Oh, yeah.
How could you forget Ryan Noob?
My mind's just completely blank right now. But, yeah, that team. APG, Lethal, Ryan Noob, and Blaze. I could see them being a sleeper team and probably getting in the top 3.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn this over to Coach Mazsik, who you've seen a lot of Halo in your day. And you just did your predictions on the VVV forums. Why don't we talk a little bit about those predictions? And I doubt anything has changed since you wrote it, but give me a feel for, you're 100% behind those predictions?
I'm very, very confident in those predictions. I've been watching a lot of streams. There's been a lot of people that have caught me lurking in other people's streams, watching the competition and seeing who's really sticking out, who's meshing well with the new team changes. And still, to this point, I don't see a team really being good enough at this point to possibly give Instinct a true scare yet. I don't think they're going to have as easy of a task staying undefeated this tournament, but I'm pretty sure that as this tournament being as it is so close to Anaheim, I feel like they're going to be able to take another tournament win until the next event. We'll just see what happens in that 2.5 month break. But I see Status Quo having a bit of a meshing issue, a bit of an issue with possibilities of team change, with Enable and Assault trying to leave the week after after Anaheim. I think it kind of might create a little bit of a stress factor on Flame and Ace, and I just personally feel that because of that being there, it's going to cause a little bit of a disoriented team play. I think that us in general as a team, we have a really great chance here. We have 3 people who have been very extremely overrated since this game has launched, and Destin's been overrated since Halo 3. I mean, I think that the way this team plays, we all have great individual skill, and I think this team's ready to show up, and obviously Dynasty's a great team too. So, I mean, I say that those are the 4 teams that have the most potential, but I still don't think anyone's going to have what it takes to edge out Instinct for this event.
Let's talk a little bit about your predictions a little more close or closer. You still, and I think this partially has to do with the way the pools and the brackets work out, you still think Status Quo is going to edge out Dynasty in 3rd place. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that because you really think that Status Quo is a better team than Dynasty, despite the chemistry issues they may have, or do you really just think flat out Dynasty just quite isn't at Status Quo's level?
The reason why I say that is because I believe Enable is the kind of player that he can put literally anybody on his back. I think if Enable is having a subpar showing, then maybe Status Quo has something to really worry about. But as long as Enable's out there breaking his back for that team, I think that they'd have to literally be trying to lose to, throw away a series. I think that Dynasty is great, but I'm worried about a few players on that team basically not having the right attitude coming into Sunday if they get down in a series.
All right. For number 5, you have listed Infamous. For those who may not be as familiar with their roster, now they come in with the lower seed, and you've got them doing really well, I think, in your predictions, except maybe when they have to match up against Status Quo. Talk about that. Well,
that team may have a really low seed, but every single person on that team has been in the top 5, and 2 people on that team have been in the top 3. Oh, 3, pardon me, and have been in the top 3 or 2. Lethal and ABG have both made, Lethal and Noob both made top 2 before the season. ABG made top 3 with Believe the Hype, the first event, and Blaze just got 5th. I think this is 3rd event in a row. He got 5th place or 6th place. So, you got 3 really great individual players that joined up, and, I think Ryan Noom's a very, very, very good individual player, and I've seen APG, the way he plays, and he's just so aggressive that it's one of those play styles where he's just the most annoying kill. And it's I think when you put all those people together, it's going to be a great combo. But I think because they're so unique, and unless they have a lot of time together, I don't think that team's going to be top material. I see them getting 5th and then playing a team like Dynasty or playing a team like Status Quo, and then teamwork really becoming a factor. But right, other than that, I really think they have the potential to do well this tournament, and I think that they could be the real sleeper team for the tournament.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I've seen other people's predictions, and they don't have Infamous as high as you do, but I think you bring up some good points. Let's talk about, I think, a team that has changed and had ups and downs. Let's talk about Final Boss. You've got them coming in about 6th, and I've seen people have them much lower, and I've seen very few that have them much higher. Talk about where Final Boss is right now. I think some people are probably not as confident as you are with them, say, facing up against the Warriors or something like that. But talk a little bit what you think.
You want me to start or you want Nick to start?
Well, I'm going to have you start, and then we'll have Nick talk about Final Boss.
All right. Well, Final Boss, yeah, they've had their ups and downs. They started off the season with a really, really rough placing. Not being in the top eight's always not fun. But, I mean, they took 2 players off that team. They wound up forming Instinct, and obviously there was potential there from the beginning. I feel like Victory X is a very solid communicator, and I feel like Fear itself adds a lot to any team. It's just that recently its focus has been in different areas. And, I mean, until that gets worked out, that team's going to be well prepared, but not as well as they were back in Halo 3. I feel like adding Hysteria and Amish is a great team player. He's always trying to figure out what he can do to usually make a team work better, and Hysteria is just a great individual player. The only thing I see as being the real downfall of that team is the attitude coming out of players like Hysteria. I mean, I just feel that whenever I coached him on Triggers Down, it felt like everything was trying to be argued about in game, and until that gets resolved with him, I think that team's not going to have the potential to get past 6th.
There you go. What do you think, Nick? You think he's accurate about Final Boss? Is 6 too high or too low?
I don't know. I think it kind of depends on who they play. I can definitely see Final Boss getting in the top 6, but like I think Victory X and Hysteria are both 2 really, really good players. But I don't know, just something about the team. I guess it kind of depends on their bracket. Like if they played someone like Warriors, it could go either way. Warriors could beat them, or Final Boss could beat them, and it's kind of like that with all of the teams within the top 8. I could see Final Boss beating any of these teams, but I don't know. We've seen in the past that they haven't shown up at the last 3 events. They haven't really performed like people thought. So I don't know. That's a hard one to call with Final Boss.
I think that is probably why we see them in various different spots depending on who we talk to. And Coach Mazsik has them at that 6th spot. To round it out, like you said, he's got Classic 7th, 8th, Turning Point, 9 Warriors, which is a little low compared to a lot of other people, 10 Evil, 11 Fire, and 12 Straight Rippin'. Before we talk about anything else, I want to bring up your 8th Turning Point. A lot of members of the VV community who are listening probably know that VV Ninja wanted to be a part of VV, I should say. And we decided at the end that we weren't going to pick up Turning Point, and that really upset him. But MaNiiaC, you've got Turning Point at 8th, and tell me, is it possible we're all wrong and they're going to do better, or do you tell us about why 8th place?
Well, I've been watching that stream in particular a lot. I've always been in Ninja stream since like the beginning, and I love that team. Like 3 or 4 great friends on that team. I mean, when I look at it on paper, I just think, oh, this, there's potential to go better than 8th. But I mean, I feel like Ninja and Mikwin are going to be the workhorses for that team, and I feel like Walsh, as well as the team shot's going to be for that team, and as much objective work as he's going to do. I mean, I've been watching them on their streams, and I'm just not seeing a team that looks like they can compete with the other teams at the top.
And just to ask, you have them ahead of the Warriors. And like I said, I've had a lot of people who may say, I think you might be shortchanging the Warriors. Again, why putting them 8th and Warriors 9?
Well, whenever I actually did the brackets, Warriors had to go up against, I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I think you had them winning against Active Rush, but then you were less confident about them against Final Boss.
Yeah,
I think that was really the difference maker, right?
Yeah, that's the reason why, is because I had them playing Final Boss, and I had Final Boss having to play 1 extra series ahead of them because of the placing in the pool. And basically, them having that 1 extra game, Final Boss was able to get a little more warmed up. As we saw Warriors play against Believe the Hype of the last tournament, they had a very low start to that series, and it came down to Believe the Hype not taking care of business right there at the end, and then basically Warriors were able to come back and mount a win, but it took them a long time to get heated up. So I don't know if they're going to have what it takes to have that kind of a slow start against Final Boss.
All right. Well, let's talk about some other Halo news that may have be interest. That is the closing down of the LAN network. Obviously, Mr. P has pulled the plug. He no longer is going to do the LAN network. What has been the reaction around the Halo community? Nick, have you heard anything about the LAN network shutting down, and what have you heard?
Yeah, I heard it. I heard about it shutting down, and I think everyone's reaction is just like a sad kind of day. all the Halo pros would always go over to Mr. P's house and LAN, and it was so much fun every time we went over there. So I don't know, it was just sad to see it come to an end. After every event, people could depend on that house to go to the LAN, and without that, now people are gonna have to start figuring out their own ways of getting LAN practice before events.
Yeah, that will be a loss, I think, to the Halo community. Of course, it's very difficult. I think there was a lot of money invested by Mr. P in that house, and possibly he overextended himself. Jason, Coast Mazsik, what do you think about the loss of the LAN network?
The thing that makes me the most upset about the whole thing is that I've actually never got the chance to go there. There were so many different times where I was supposed to go, and I wasn't able because of work or school. So, I mean, I think it's a major loss. I mean, it was like Nick said, it was a place that people could go, and they counted on that place to LAN between tournaments. Like, I could have seen, like, if it hadn't shut down, there would have been LANs there literally right now. Like, during this time between the 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was between Anaheim and Raleigh, there would have been LANs there. And, I mean, I think Instinct had a LAN against Final Boss, and they kept it. I'm not sure if it was at Ogre 2's house or whatever, but I could have seen, like, a small 4-team, 5-team LAN happening had it not shut down.
Well, I think to all Halo fans out there, the loss of the LAN network will be something that, like you guys said, definitely will change players and teams' ability to get that practice in. I do know that Game Pazzo here in Chicago and the NGL and others are talking to Mr. P to see if there's something that can be done, but only time will tell. And I'm sure if the LAN network in some capacity gets revived, it certainly probably won't have the overhead that Mr. P's house had, which obviously was not inexpensive to run. Well, Nick, Jason, I want to say I look forward to seeing you both in Raleigh. Nick, I think I owe you a headset, don't I?
Yes, you do.
So everybody knows I sent, there was emails going back and forth, and it's hard when you have a coach and a player and you're sending various things in the beginning. And
Yeah.
I failed Nick, so I want to let everybody know now that I've got to get Nick a Steel Series 5 XB. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that Kim Rom, who's going to be in Raleigh, knows that we have to hook Nick up because I made a promise, and a promise made is a promise kept. So we'll definitely take care of that. And hopefully after this event, we'll be bringing on Believe the Hype in a larger role. And hopefully you'll all get to meet what I do believe is the most rabid and exciting community in competitive gaming. You're all going to get to meet the VV fans, and don't be surprised if people ask for your autograph and they start yelling embarrassing things because they're going to be that annoying crowd that's cheering you on. So your manager, Smith, for those who know Red v Blue, that man can cheer like nobody's business.
Yeah, I've talked to him almost every day since I've been with you all about various things.
Smith is relentless. That same guy who will bug you 5 times in a day is a great asset out there because he will make sure that that everybody is cheering the loudest for whoever VVV is.
Yeah,
and it is really a great pleasure to have you guys with us. So Jason, Coach Mazsik, Nick, welcome. Believe the Hype. Halo, Raleigh, be there. I think this is going to be an exciting event. Guys, you both have a good night. Nick, I know you got to get back to practice, so thank you so much for your time.
Yep, thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.
All right, later, guys.
All right, Jason, John. Why is it every time I talk to them, I get excited about Halo?
Because there is so much potential there. That's why. I really am excited to see what they do at Raleigh. I mean, yeah, MaNiiaC, he had projected, not possibly getting to the point of taking down Instinct yet, but I gotta admit, there's just a fervor in me. Like, there is definitely a possibility that this could happen. I think that if there's any team prepared enough to do the impossible and take down the God Squad, I really feel like VV Believe the Hype could be that team. And I know that myself and, of course, the Hype Man Smith, like you were talking about, and the rest of the VV Gaming family will be there in Raleigh supporting them on this journey. I cannot wait.
And this is something, talking about Coach MaNiiaC. John, would you agree with the same statement? I think he's one of the smartest guys in Halo. Can I say that about him, John?
I believe you can.
I think I can. I think Coach Mazsik is one of the smartest guys in Halo, and it's a pleasure to have him on board. I can see why teams trust him to coach because he knows Halo. And here's a guy, for those of you that don't know, goes to school full time. The poor college life is never an easy place for anybody to be in, especially if you're a coach, especially this time in Halo's life cycle where there's a lot of uncertainty. So if any of you should see Coach Mazsik in MLG Raleigh, give him a hug. He'll be wearing a VV shirt. He'll be with Believe the Hype. And I really look forward to getting to talk to him more and watching Halo, which now I do believe, Jason, brings us to last but certainly not least, that 500-pound elephant that has now parked itself at Major League Gaming events.
500
and
pounds?
I'm not talking about a certain player whose name I will not mention. Jason, talk to me.
Okay, come on. We got to back up a second. Only 500 pounds, Jerry?
Ouch. Let's talk about StarCraft 2.
Most definitely. The biggest thing right now that MLG has going for it, StarCraft 2. We are joined this week by VVV Titan, one of the players that will be competing at Raleigh this weekend. Tristan, you've been a staple on this show since we started it. Welcome back to the Losers Bracket. You've got to be excited about competing this weekend in Raleigh, right?
Hell yeah, man. I cannot wait. And it's great to be back.
It is good to have you back. Jason, I think you're going to have to make him do the giggle to start.
Yeah, please. For those, since we are live now, for those that have not heard it, we need a cute little Korean baby giggle. Can you give us one, Tristan?
But I'm out of practice. What? All right, here we go. Ready?
Yeah. Come on.
Wow.
Oh, wait, Korean. Sorry, that was the baby. I don't remember how to do it. Sorry.
Oh, my God. That was great, though. I don't even think we need to go. Regardless of the nationality of the baby, that was just fine. All right, so we're going to talk about two things. First and foremost, let's talk about VV Gaming StarCraft team. You, Murder, Angry, Zog, Ruff. We are coming in to Raleigh. Everyone's ready to compete. Rumor has it, and I don't want to, put any pressure on you, that you, sir, are primed and ready to go for Raleigh. Is this true?
This is 90% true.
You can never be 100%, can you, sir?
No, you cannot be. You got to go in confidence, but I still have, it's a long process. I have many years to go, so.
Well, I think you had a great match this week, one in which I think was close. And if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your match with Idra this week.
Sure. I was in the WOGL IESF US qualifiers, and the winner would go to Korea with a full expense paid trip. And I made the top four, where it was it's Chef, Idra, myself, and got to the top four, and then came up to Idra in the losers bracket. So the winner of that went on to play in the finals. So played my games. I ended up losing 2-1. The first game I lost from a build order loss. It was poorly played. Game 2, I did a 10 pull into a nice one base roach all in. He raged. He left the game really quick. Remade it again. Joined the game. He didn't even wait for me to stay ready. He just went because he was pissed. So I definitely got in his head. And then game 3, I decided to do another all in because I knew it'd really mess with his mind a little bit more. I got ahead in the link counts, Bane link counts. I had the game won, and then I choked. I made a few misclicks, 3 to 4 mistakes, and that cost me the game. So ended up losing 2-1, but played really well overall.
Well, that's a really great analysis. I think, I have had the pleasure of watching you grow as a player and really work through your own psychological, I would say, roadblocks, overcoming them. And for those that don't know, just in how to look, Titan, for those of you that don't know, has experience as a concert trumpet player. And obviously performance at that level in sports share similarities, but they also share some differences. And I thought as we highlighted those differences, especially with Murder pointing out some things to us, I thought it puts you in a really good position to break through. Do you feel that psychologically you're more prepared for this than other events?
Oh, by far. I am feeling cloud 9 right now. I have these past 2-3 days I have like an 80% win rate, and I'm dropping hardly any games.
So you are peaking at just the right time.
Pretty much. The only thing I have worries about is EBZ, but I worked on that today. I haven't run into any Zergs yet, though, but feeling very confident.
All right. So let's... I don't know if you can talk for the whole team because I don't know how much you've got to practice with any of the other players. Is there anybody that you've had a chance to play with that you say, you know what, I think they're ready for Raleigh?
Honestly, I'm probably the most prepared right now, although Murder Ben has been practicing extremely hard. I think he played 16 hours or something yesterday, and he's getting in tip-top shape, so I cannot wait to practice with him later tonight or tomorrow, either or. I think he would be the next in line, or like us, just us, will pretty much make it the furthest. So,
and I think Ruff will always bring his interesting style of play. Do you think Ruff will surprise some people as well as probably learn a few things?
Yes, I think he definitely will. Honestly, the whole team, I mean, we have some really good players. I expect us to do very well. If maybe 2 or 3, maybe 2 in the top 44 is what I'm hoping for. If not, and then everybody else will be really close, maybe top 50 something.
Gotcha. Well, that's really good to hear. So everybody who watches StarCraft often complains about Major League Gaming's point system. And obviously, since we don't have players in that initial sort of top 16 seeds, we've got to march our way and fight our way in, and there's going to be limited spots. Do you want to talk about a few players along the road or even the pool play of what you think we should all be looking out for?
Sure. Who do you have in mind?
Well, let's take a couple players that maybe aren't quite in the top 16. Like, do we know if Hawk or State, for example, players like that are going to be there?
Yes, I know Hawk's going to be there, and so will State. Actually, I found out something recently is that Six Jacks isn't actually sending anybody. Six Jacks Major won't be there, and nor will Vibe.
Interesting. I wonder why that is. Well, I think that'll be something for us to find out. Tristan, I want to pause for 1 second, and John Lunsford, I want to bring you in, Phoenix. And then, Jason, I'll get your input right in. Talk about the top 16, and let's talk a little bit about, I don't know. Everybody knows I'm critical. I look at some of those records of the top 16, and I'm not going to steal anybody else's thunder, but, before I go off and cry and whine about how I can't stand the fact some people can go like 1-8, 1-9, and still be in the top. John, what do you think? What do you think about these pools?
Yeah, I don't like to cry about it either, but I am going to cry about it because, I mean, you can't overlook the fact that In Control and Machine, and don't get me wrong, I love In Control. He's probably one of the best people out there for gaming. However, when he goes 1-6 and is the 9th seed right now, he was technically tied for 10th in points, but because of the Koreans not coming and Huck was tied with him and gets a seat above him for better performance. But it just, I mean, and this has happened. I kind of had this thing with Straight Rip in Halo 2. When you do good one time and you can just live on it forever. And so he did pretty good in Dallas, and he got 22nd twice in a row. 22nd twice in a row. And now he's the 9th seed. And then you look at his pool, and it's like, okay, he's playing MaNiiaC, he's playing Huck, he's playing Rain. Okay, well, you know what? He's probably going to go 0-5 in pool again and maybe win one loser's bracket match against an open player. And then the next event, he'll be in the top 16 again because one good event. And Machine's 15th. And if he doesn't perform in his group, he's in Idra's group and with Bomber. So I don't expect him to do anything either. He'll probably drop out finally, but still have a very high seed in open bracket. So I'm really looking forward to next year because I hate looking forward to next year because it's only halfway through this year, but I'm really looking forward to next year when they can kind of separate it out so that when we reach August 23rd of next year, we're not having this conversation about In Control if he's gotten demolished in 2 previous events.
Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that John has a point here. The seeding system right now definitely does have its flaws, and we've talked about this at length in previous Losers Bracket episodes. And while someone like Titan is peaking at the right time, it is a little bit frustrating for like us as a community right now to to have to watch as some of these people that aren't performing to the best of their ability are consistently placing better than someone like, say, a VVV Titan, while not necessarily even playing as well as him. So overall, though, I mean, the majority of the people that are in the top 16 should be there. So I think that's good. And I can't wait to see how this all plays out this weekend. We do have some really interesting pools that are going to be there. As John had mentioned, Bomber coming over and representing the Koreans this time from the GSL. Will the trend continue every event? So far, we've had a different winner since the Korean GSL exchange has started. So can Bomber be the one person now to continue on this trend? We'll see. Aside from that, we have some pretty interesting pools. Dongre Gu in Pool C. We're going to see him matching up with Slush, Select, the Little One. That's going to be pretty entertaining. Additionally, Kiwi Kaki and Sheth, Moonin and Nada. Nada being another one of those players that's going to be incredibly entertaining to watch. I would love to hear, Tristan, some of your predictions on who you think is going to do well in these pools. If you could definitely speak to each of these. Let's start with Pool A. If you could give us your predictions. Pool A has MaNiiaC, Huck, In Control, Rain, and Coca. Who do you think is going to take this pool?
Yeah, this pool, honestly, is the toughest of all of them, if you were to ask me, because there's 3 people in there that really rise above the rest. Coca, Huck, and MaNiiaC. So, honestly, right now, I think it's going to be Coca and Huck, most definitely, because, I don't know, MaNiiaC's, he's just phenomenally good. I mean, Huck is phenomenally good. MaNiiaC's great, but I don't think he's at the level of Huck and Coca.
All right, let's move on to Pool B. I think here we've got Idra, Show, Hey Pro, Machine, and Bomber. So talk about Pool B.
This is a little bit of a weaker pool. Hey Pro, Machine, and Show really are not on the same skill level as Idra and Bomber. Although Idra, he's been showing some weakness recently. He's not playing as well as he used to. So Bomber's definitely going to win this pool. I'm 100% certain of that. And then Idra will most likely get second. And then probably Show, Machine, and Hey Pro. That's definitely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you're going with Bomber for sure in that pool.
Yes, most definitely.
Pool C, Slush, Select, Liquid TLO, DRG, Dongregu, and obviously ST brings Trickster. Protoss, what do you think?
This pool I'm not really sure about. There's only one person in there that rises above the rest, and that's Dongregu. He's a phenomenal Zerg, although I have my thoughts about him. I don't think he's as strong as people make him out to be, but he's definitely the best of the group. And then Slush, I mean, he's been playing well, but he's not like a cut above everybody. Select, he's been having a lot of trouble recently. Tester, he makes some stupid mistakes. And TLO, he's just in the middle. So, I mean, I don't know who's going to take second in that group. I think maybe Slush might, come out of nowhere. I don't know.
Is that your Zerg bias? Is that what that is right there?
Yes, of course it's my Zerg bias. Gotta root for the Zergs.
For the Swarm, huh?
For the Swarm.
Wow. Okay, so let's look at Pool D. We got Kiwakaki. We've got Liquid Rat, Liquid Cheth, FXO, obviously Moonin, and then Nada from OGS. Tell us about that one.
All right, yet again, Korean wins it. Nada's going to take it all. And then after that, it's either going to be Kiwikaki's not to par. It's going to be either Red or Chef. And right now, I think, they're both playing phenomenally well right now. It's a coin flip, but I'm going to say it's going to be... I have a coin around here. I can flip it right now. Let's just say it's Chef. All right, Chef's going to take second. Just Nada as number 1, and then Chef.
You really, really have a Zerg bias, I think.
No, they're just the better players right now.
Just the better players. So, you're bringing, obviously, the Koreans out of all of those. And on that one, you said it's a toss-up. Could be either Chef or Ret, right?
Yeah, definitely. I did leave out one Korean, though. I don't think Fnatic Reign's as good as people make him out to be.
So, somebody had pointed out to me this, and I thought it was worth bringing up. Looking at where organizations have invested money. And we're looking at Huck, obviously, is with EG. In Control and Machine with EG. Is it safe to say that In Control and Machine probably should not be top 16 players, or am I being too cruel?
No, you're not being that cruel. Although I'll give Machine the benefit of the doubt because he lives in Idra's shadow. It's kind of tough being another Zerg when you have Idra on top.
Fair enough. I think that's really fair. And I noticed that we now don't see... Is anyone from Complexity in the top?
Nope. No,
Whatever.
not at all.
I feel bad for them. So we've got Rain Fnatic brings Rain, and obviously EG's got a strong presence. FXO will have Moon in there. Obviously, Liquid will have Hey Pro, Sheth, Rhett. Obviously, they've lost Huck, who's now with EG. And that's about it from what I'm seeing. Who is MaNiiaC with?
Isn't he with Dignitas?
That's right, Dignitas. Thank you. So, yeah. So it'll be interesting. One final question, Tristan, and this is something that I have to ask. Roar has decided to room with you. Are you guys going to be snuggle buddies?
Of course we are. I can't wait to brush up against his beard and stuff. And he's a hairy guy, too, so it's going to be like...
He calls you Tix, you know that?
I was just going to say, he has a very affectionate nickname for you.
He does. I can't wait to hear his roar.
Wow, you did not just do that.
Yes.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I can't wait to see you again, Tristan. We are going to be glued to watch you murder, angry, Zog, rough play in MLG Raleigh. We will also get to see again some top Korean talent, and I'm sure that whole event will be dominated by people who absolutely love StarCraft 2. I want to thank you so much, Tristan. I know you've got practice later tonight. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right. You know, I love having him on. Do you know that, Jason?
Yeah, he's absolutely a pleasure, and it's not just because of the giggles and the the affectionate talk that he gives to all of his snuggle buddies from VVV. He's absolutely wonderful to have around. So kudos, Titan. Thank you so much for coming on, tuning into Loser Bracket. Look at me. For coming on to Loser Bracket, sharing your opinions on who is going to take which pool, and I'm excited. I want to cheer this kid on because I really feel like right now he is peaking at just the right time. That match with Idra was incredible to watch the other night, and he really did have Idra backed into a corner multiple times in that match. So he's got a real good shot this weekend. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I agree, and I think, getting back to the seeding thing, when it comes to open bracket and all, a lot of the players are going to fall into the open bracket that are actually really good. And so I'm interested to see a lot of the open bracket matches, but also see how, players like VVV's players, I wish they would stream those matches when I'm at home. I wish everybody could, sit down and watch those.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that is what a lot of people are going to feel. And hopefully with time, we're going to see more streaming happen, especially next season. So we should talk, because we talked about it earlier on the show a little bit, this idea that I really like of Barcraft. A lot of cities, it was in the Wall Street Journal. There's going to be some Barcraft going on while this event is going on. I know here in Chicago, VV Time is going to be attending on the north side a Barcraft event, which is going to be at a wing joint on Saturday. And people are already pushing for things on Sunday as well. So there may be a formal get-together on Saturday and an informal, we're coming back here again on Sunday. So we'll start with you, Jason, because I think these things could be advertised better. This is not so much a critique. I mean, it's starting, it's new, and I think this is going to stick around, but I think they should be advertised better.
First things first, I have to say the idea is absolutely brilliant. Seeing the article in the Wall Street Journal for Barcraft and all these pubs and establishments around the country showing MLG, NASL, these competitive gaming events, and bringing out the, as they called them in the article, quote-unquote, geeks to the bars to watch and cheer on. And they referred to it in the article as almost World Cup-esque. This is wonderful because not only do people out in the world that don't know about esports get to see this activity, see how passionate they are, be exposed to something new, but we also get little almost mini MLG spectator parties all around the country, which is great. It gets people excited, it gets people talking about these events, and it helps us to grow competitive gaming as a whole. Overall, I think this is wonderful. Could it be advertised a little better? Yes. But to be fair, this is still in its infantile stages. It is going to grow as MLG continues to grow. And as the public gets exposed to these events, I really feel like we're going to draw more people in, get people interested in what competitive gaming is. I think it's a great cycle. It's going to really help us out in the long run.
Hey, John, what do you think? I know you're in Alabama, so they may not allow Barcraft down there. That might be a little too radical. Tell us what you think there.
Yeah, especially since football season's coming up. But anyway, I think, getting back to the advertising and how it could be advertised better, one thing that I learned throughout my college years is that there are a lot of people, especially my age, the college age crowd, that are really into gaming that you wouldn't think are into gaming. And so I think one way that this could be advertised is some of the major colleges. Like I went to Alabama. We had 32,000 people when I graduated. And, throwing up some flyers in the hallways of some of the, buildings. Hey, we're come to this bar. We're watching the MLG event this weekend. I know that a lot of people watch MLG. A lot of people get into the collegiate StarCraft league that was going on. These are the next, generation of professionals that are going out into the world, and you're starting to see things in the Wall Street Journal and in Forbes and stuff like that. And I think really, pushing this in college is a way to grow that next group of professionals out in the world. And obviously, any excuse to go to a bar in college is, a no-brainer. And so, like this weekend, football hasn't started yet. It'll start next weekend for college. And so this weekend is like the ideal thing to get people going to the bars, get people, excited for competition and stuff like that. I would love to go to a bar this weekend, watch StarCraft, and then go back after a football game next weekend. I mean, I think the marketing for it just kind of falls right into place. Head to a bar, watch, some awesome video games. It helps grow the game. It helps grow MLG. It helps grow the idea, and it helps teach people, teach the next generation of professionals before they go out into the world.
Yeah, I think it's the idea that I find awesome is the fact that, you could be sitting in a bar and there's Day 9, I know DJ Wheat won't be this event, but, you've got these professional casters that become, I think, to the fans, part of their experience. And to see that sort of spread out to people who are not following gaming that closely, kind of just like anyone who falls into a sport because of the environment they're in. And bars are great for that. So I think you're right. I think if anybody out there is looking to schedule their own Barcraft, you don't need permission to do this. You need a bar who is willing. I mean, you need the bar's permission, but I mean, you just need to find an establishment who is willing to let you bring in a stream, right? They have their computers. They can watch that stream, and all of a sudden you and a group of friends are watching StarCraft at a bar. God, that feels great just saying that. So, yeah, I think that's fantastic. One thing I want to talk about before, because I think it's getting close to time where we have to wrap up, but it was brought up a little bit by Craig Levine at ESCA when he came back from Valve about the new Counter-Strike that's coming out, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Counter-Strike Go. What do you guys think about that? John, I'm going to start with you.
I have to say I'm actually a little skeptical at this point because, obviously Source to a lot of people was a flop, and competitively it never took off outside of CGS. But that was only for, the graphics and aesthetics of it. But I'm a little skeptical as, will it just be the same thing? And we're just watching the same thing with maybe updated graphics, the same guns, the same maps. Because you're talking about, you're going to see Dust in there, you're going to see Train, you're going to see Nuke, you're seeing all the same maps. So if I go watch an Extreme Masters event or a WCG event or ESEA or whatever, is this going to be the same thing but maybe look a little cooler? Or is it actually going to be a new game, allow for a new generation of players to come in and play? Because playing Counter-Strike for me is not really not that fun anymore. I mean, if I wanted to compete in it, there's pretty much ESEA, and that's kind of it. And, you know, with a new version of a game, you know, Dota 2, they're making, you know, actually making it a real game, obviously, instead of a mod. But, you know, I think this is another thing as well. It's not just going to be a mod anymore like the original Counter-Strike was. But just kind of in general, I'm kind of a little skeptical as to, you know, how the actual game will be created and whether it's just pleasing the old school Counter-Strike people, or is it going to be like a pro mod, you know, like the CS Pro mod they made that was kind of like Source and 1.6 put together, or is it actually going to be like its own, you know, new game that follows like Gears of War 3? Like, here's an example. I hate to compare console and PC, but think about the differences that have happened from Gears of War 1 to 2 to 3. Think about the differences that have happened from Halo over the years. You know, a lot of people think Gears of War 1 is the best. A lot of people think Halo, you know, Combat Evolved is the best. But there have been changes over the years, and some of them have been for the better. And I think Gears of War 3 has had a lot of these changes for the better. You know, they kind of screwed up with Gears of War 2, but are fixing a lot of things in 3. So with, you know, the new Counter-Strike, are they just going to pretty much make like 1.6? Or is it going to be a new game that has taken kind of the best of both worlds and actually created something new and something exciting for us to play?
Yeah, I think you raised a good question. I am skeptical too, and I hate to be, because I don't know, maybe it sounds arrogant, but, you know, I want the old timers to have something to come back to and feel good about, you know, because the Counter-Strike crowd started, you know, a lot of things, and they're still around, the 1.6ers, and I refer to them as the old timers jokingly. And, you know, I don't know, but Jason, I know you read the write-up when Craig Levine came back from Valve. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple really interesting ideas that they're doing with this. Well, I'll just say first, yes, I'm skeptical too. For all the exact same reasons that you both just mentioned. But they are trying a couple things that are kind of cool. One of the things that was mentioned is something that's called a decoy grenade, where you can actually throw it out and it will give off gun sounds and actually give the impression that a player is somewhere that you throw a grenade. I think that's a really cool strategy. I mean, is that something that you're going to have to learn to recognize in a competitive game? That's cool. That's a really neat idea. On the other hand, though, one of the other things that they were talking about doing was Torbo had mentioned that they were experimenting with automatically equipping one of the random members of the counter-terrorist team with like a defuse kit at the beginning of each round. And I don't know about randomness being, you know, one of the major parts that they're adding in for like the defuse. I don't know about that. That doesn't seem like the best idea for me for competitive play. And then yet again, I'm curious, how is Valve going to go into this as a competitive title? Are they going to give this the support that it would need to be a big title to flourish on the competitive scene? Would something like this ever end up in an MLG style event if Valve doesn't give 110% to the competitive scene? Overall, I mean, I like some of the things I've heard, and definitely Jerry's right that we should give some of the old-timers something to play, quote-unquote, but yeah, overall skeptical. I hope it turns out well. I really do. But color me just a tad bit skeptical right about now.
And what do you guys think about the fact that obviously it's going to be on the 360 from what Valve says? Is that doable? Does that work?
I think one thing a lot of PC players are, the skeptical PC players are like, okay, well, is this going to be a console game ported over to PC? Like, for instance, I just downloaded Deus Ex today. You know, it's a game that's been out for a while, and you can play it. I'm playing on PC, and you can definitely tell it's a console game. Just the way the game's set up, just little things here and there that you can tell it's a console game that's been ported over to PC that I'm playing with a mouse and keyboard. I think a lot of people are scared that it's like, well, and you kind of go back to Razor's, you know, PC gaming is not dead kind of thing. I think some people out there are thinking, well, because the consoles are growing and because it's a good casual, you know, way to play games, they're going to make this new Counter-Strike and release it on 360 and PS3. And then, oh yeah, well, we're going to put it on PC just because that's kind of where it was before. And, you know, it's just going to have the feel of like, you know, Rainbow Six or something on console. And that's going to be a major change to appeal to the, you know, greater, you know, quote unquote, greater masses from the 360 or PS3. And then the PC player is going to be kind of left in the dark. And I don't think that's going to be the case, but I think a lot of people are wondering whether, you know, if they add it, if they release it at the same time, then there's got to be something about it that makes it work on console that'll make it not quite as good on PC.
Yeah, one thing I want to throw out too is I see some PC gamers on Twitter like, ha ha ha, and I don't get why there still would be an animosity between PC and console gamers, because you need both to make this business work. Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the idea of Counter-Strike on a console to me still seems rather odd, especially when in the past, a lot of the, and I hate to make this sound like a melting pot, like everybody said something like this, but you used to hear so many Counter-Strike players saying, well, one of the reasons why this is such a great game is because it is played with a mouse and keyboard. And as John had pointed out, if it is thought of as a console game first and ported over to the PC, will the hardcore players turn away just because of that? I don't know. I'm scratching my head on this one, because the announcement of it for console, in a way, it makes sense business-wise because it gets it out to more people, more potential players. But on the other hand, will the PC crowd be that they've so long had, that they've had entrenched in this game, be upset if it is, let's say, thought of as a console game first? The whole thing just, I don't know. I'm scratching my head currently about it.
Yeah, I think one reason they all freaked out was because when the news first came out about it, a lot of the gaming websites released it as like, hey, one of the big features of it is it's going to be on console too. And everybody's like, oh, I can't believe they're putting it on console too. And then Craig kind of came back, with his article on ESEA News and was like, hey, it's still going to be the same good old Counter-Strike, which also made me skeptical. Like, okay, it's just going to be the same Counter-Strike, maybe look a little better. But the difference between PC and console, I mean, the whole debate is, aiming, stuff like that. Part of what makes Counter-Strike, awesome is that you can just barely peek around a corner. You can flick and shoot and all that kind of stuff, and that's something you can't do on consoles. And I respect that there's certain things you can do with a mouse and a keyboard that you can't do with a joystick. You can only turn so fast with a joystick, and you can do unlimited, whatever your range of movement is with a mouse to turn on PC. The fight between the two, though, is something that I've never really understood, and I don't see why each side can't respect what the other side is doing when it comes to that. And I think when it comes to like real-time strategy games, okay, well, that's not going to work. Halo Wars, yeah, that was outstanding on console. That's something that's designated for PC games. It's not like people are going to say consoles are better. When it comes to shooters, though, I just think there's a crowd that doesn't really respect the way PC gaming and shooters grew over the years with CPL and Quake and Painkiller and Counter-Strike and all that kind of stuff. And they just see Halo and it's like, well, I think Halo has a bigger skill gap. It's, it's harder to play because you're using a joystick and you can't legitimately aim. And then it's like, well, that's what makes it not as good, to PC players. And the whole fight, I think people just don't realize that there's different games in different places. And that's why, like Jason brought up, he's not real sure about, what the game will be like on console. And, I got to agree. I don't think the game's going to be that great on console if they develop it for PC. But, you can't just count a game out because it's done one way.
Well, we'll leave that there because I don't want to say too much more. Time will tell. And I think, John, you're right. My prediction is there's no way any PC gamer will play a console port at all. Too much pride, too much... And to be honest, I really don't think you can make that crowd happy. That's just my prediction. That's why I'm really skeptical. I think no matter what Valve does, I think it's going to be too little too late. But who knows? Battlefield 3 is out, although with Battlefield 3 having that support class that does suppression fire that's designed for old men, so that if you can't aim and hit anyone, you can still feel like you're part of the team. I don't know. You probably have to ban that class. I don't know how Battlefield's going to do. And obviously Modern Warfare 3, let's not mess around here. Call of Duty, Activision's obviously going to spend a lot of money. We have the XP event. And actually, I think Modern Warfare, the way they should go after Battlefield is they should call it No Game for Old Men, since they don't have a class in there that support that uses an LMG. But have you guys heard that Kanye West is going to be performing at the Call of Duty XP? And I think, as a matter of fact, this is his first public performance since the release of, what is this, his 5th album? And this is going to be the Watch the Throne, right?
Yeah, this is some pretty interesting news coming out that Kanye West is going to be performing at the Call of Duty XP event. Of course, this is going on September 2nd and 3rd over in Los Angeles, so this is the next week, right after MLG. Additionally, if you haven't heard, there's going to be a lot of events circling Modern Warfare 3. You'll be able to play Modern Warfare 3 as one of the first people if you get to go to this event. And, of course, we've talked about it before. They're having this $1 million tournament. But Kanye West, that's pretty big, I guess you could say, advertisement for Modern Warfare 3. Couldn't you agree, John?
I do. And, that's one thing I think the reason why Call of Duty is so big compared to like a Battlefield or a Counter-Strike to the general crowd is because they've really gone out there with their advertising, to really push the franchise. You got Kanye here, and you can think back to like the commercial with Kobe Bryant in it. Obviously, there's a big debate about that, but those are figureheads that are in advertising, and having Kanye here, obviously the whole event is for Call of Duty, so that's advertising it, and I think they've really pushed their advertising kind of to the next level by throwing these celebrities in here and, really getting it out there to the crowd. Because I'll be honest, I haven't heard a lot about Battlefield because it's just not my kind of game. But I don't really care about Modern Warfare 3 either, but I've heard a ton about it just because, the advertising they're doing like this. And I get an email about Kanye performing at Call of Duty XP, and I don't really care about Kanye or going to that event, but it's something that, gets me involved and gets me interested in the game.
Kanye West is mainstream. No, go ahead. What were you going to say, Jason?
The absolute best thing that they could do with Battlefield right now to generate a bunch of buzz would be to pay Kanye more money and have him interrupt the finals of the Modern Warfare 3 tournament and just go, hold on, I'm going to let you guys finish. But Battlefield 3 is the first-person shooter game that is the game of the year. It is the best game of all time. And then walk out, similar to like that whole Taylor Swift situation a little while back. Yeah, that's what they should do.
There's a reason why you will never work in an award show. I want you to know that right now. There's no hope for you, sir. But I do think that these wars, like Dota versus League of Legends, like Call of Duty versus Battlefield, I think they are great for gamers. I think it makes developers put up money, makes them go after the gamer, and I don't know. Money speaks, and what you do to earn it, I gotta admit, I think Modern Warfare 3 has no threat from Battlefield 3. And an event like this with Kanye West, I don't know. I can't imagine. I mean, that's pretty big deal. Whether you like it or not, or you care or not, it is a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal. Unfortunately, a little bit more of a sad note. It's come to the end of the show, which I guess is a big deal as well, because we had a great show, guys. I'm really glad that we had such awesome guests this week on the show here with us. Nynjatic for Call of Duty, Titan for StarCraft, Mazsik, MaNiiaC for Halo. And I'm really stoked to watch all these guys perform, leaving for Raleigh in just under 2 days now. And Jerry, I'll be seeing you out there at the event. You pumped about going out to Raleigh? I know we've got some new shirts that we're going to be sporting at the event too, huh?
Yes, indeed. We will have our new VV shirts, both our long sleeve and our short sleeve. So expect all of our players. They'll be for sale, same price. So you'll be able to buy them from VV Doomhammer, who will be the Merchant of Death while we're there. And then, we'll have some mouse pads with us, Steel Series VVV mouse pads. You'll be able to purchase those. So, yeah, we're going to come like merchants of Venice down there with a lot of EV gear. And this is mostly because a lot of you have asked for it. So, we'll bring it. We'll lug it on the plane. And we have the shirts already shipped to the hotel. VV Gaming will be at the Clarion Hotel. And I look forward to seeing you, Jason, Friday night at the staff dinner. And, John, you're going to be running the ship while we're gone. You're going to have to keep everybody informed of the happenings.
Absolutely. If you want to know anything throughout the entire weekend, you can go to www-gaming.com, check out the forums. I will be updating every single thing that is going on with the event overall and, of course, with the VV teams.
Jason, I think you're right. This brings us to the end of the show.
Indeed it does. As always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Losers Bracket. Big thanks to VV Gaming sponsors, SteelSeries, Gamer Grub, Control Freak, MusicSkins.com, and Custom Inc. A big shout out to everybody that tuned in to listen live to our second show. I think we got quite a few of those technical difficulties from the last show worked out. Thank you so much for your constant support. We definitely still need your feedback. Make sure you tweet us your thoughts, give us some emails. Be sure to stop by our podcast homepage. The website is vvgaming.podbean.com. You can also subscribe to us over on iTunes. Just search for VV Gaming. That way you can follow both of our shows, Directional Influence, and this show right here, The Losers Bracket. The email address, if you want to email us, is thelosersbracket@vvv-gaming.com. You can also follow us over on Twitter, and there we are simply known as Losers Bracket. John, any shout-outs before we head out?
I only got one shout-out. Everybody needs to make sure at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time this Friday, tune into the MLG stream. I know you'll all be watching anyway, but you got to watch the Gears of War 3 broadcast. It's going to be awesome to finally see a final build of the game as the Insanes take on a team of Epic QA members. It'll be awesome. Make sure to tune in.
Yeah, I agree with what John just said. If you are a Gears of War fan, this is your chance. You better use Twitter, use social media. I know VV Gaming's army will be flooding, hopefully, Twitter and Facebook with posts about this. Let people know about what's exciting and what they're watching. I'm sure our shout box will be filled with critiques and comments, and I look forward to hear about how that goes. So, one final thing that I want to give a shout out to, because we didn't have time to cover it in tonight's show, is I want everybody to know, big shout out to VVV Rio, who is going to be competing in the Mortal Kombat 9 event. I know that there hasn't been a lot of attention paid to this event. A lot of people are concerned about how qualifying is going to go. But I tell you what, by the time we're done here, and I know Rio will come with his new box. He's got his sticks ready to roll. I think Rio, I really do believe Rio is going to take first place. I'm just going to say it. I think Rio is that good, and I think it's going to be that awesome. So a big shout out to VVV Rio. I look forward to getting to watch Mortal Kombat 9 again, live and in person. So it's going to be a packed weekend full of good matches.
Amen to that. Make sure if you are in Raleigh, come up, say hi to us. We'll all be wearing VVV Gaming shirts. You'll see us all around the venue. If you see one of us, please come say hi. We want to meet you. We want to get to know who our listeners are. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, and we will see you this weekend in Raleigh. Take care, everybody.